We'll move on now to the defending Turnbull Cup champions, Steinbach Pistons. A bit of a weird year for the team as they will be having their home games out of LeBrokery. Not too big of a difference ice surface wise. Obviously, a lot of work in the offseason has gone into not only rebuilding the team, 15 new guys are going to be wearing the blue and white this year, but also making that facility junior A ready for home and away clubs alike. The Steinbach Pistons, you've seen them in an exhibition game. Pretty much what you expected, big, fast, physical, and can score.
Well, they've had to retool. What was it, 15 players, I think, is a turnover this year. And what a fantastic job. Like, I tried to watch them closely and see how they move themselves down the ice, and they're proficient puck movers. They look like they had some chemistry right off the hop. They've got some big bodies. They certainly use their speed down the wings. Love the way they move the puck on the point. Watching Jack Cook was great. And then, they have how many other weapons at their disposal. And then they have Cole Plowman back in net, reprising his role back there. So they're not going to be an easy out this year. They're going to be, I think, the standard with which the East is set. I think everybody else will be chasing them for that top spot in the Eastern Conference, and they will be the measure that the chances of them repeating, I think, are pretty solid, and everybody's going to work hard to try and knock them off that pedestal.
That is the thing though, is that when you are kind of viewed as that team, you're getting the opponent's best every night. You can't take a night off. You can't get frustrated. We saw it in that Niverville contest when the Nighthawks started to kind of come back a little bit. I thought Steinbach was very calm and composed, led by the veteran guys. But much like other teams in the league, they're going younger. They're getting a lot of younger guys. So while the left side of the defense is very solid and veteranish, the right side is younger, and they're going to have some guys that are working their way through the Manitoba Junior Hockey League in the defensive and even the bottom six. So youth is important, but it's also something that all the teams are going to have to kind of grind through at times.
They're going to have to work hard with the development side, but it is a good yin yang scenario because Paul Dick he plays the long game. He knows he's got some guys that'll move on every year and some guys that he'll have in the system to work with and develop into their system. And that is something, if they're going out and they're finding these young jump into the lineup right away, it's just going to be great. And not only this year, but in the next 2 years after they get better, maybe add a little more strength and a little more skill into their game and round out. It's just such a great thing to see.
How much of an impact is not being at the TG Smith Center going to make on these guys? They've had a whole summer. They've known that they were going to be moving to LeBrokery. They know that it's going to be a little different. They haven't even been practicing in there yet. I think they get in just ahead of the a road game to start the year against Verdun. So they haven't really been acclimated to the facilities yet. How much is that going to impact the team early on, and just kind of when it comes to them finding traction on the road?
All these teams will have to deal with some form of adversity at one point or another this year, and I think this is another one of those. There's a number of teams that have to, change up what they're doing. We talked about OCN moving yesterday. This is a big one though, and the TG Smith Center always had its own nuances. It had a smaller ice surface. The crowd was right on top, always packed to the rafters, which is always cool. Maybe this will be the same sort of thing. It'll be a tighter version of that. But I think it's always going to be something that'll be there for them. It's how they adapt. Obviously, little more travel this year when it comes to going to and from the rink. So for Steinbach, I hope it doesn't feel like it, but it may seem like that they're the visiting team at home sometimes too. But they could also own it and run with it the other way. Sometimes this is a catalyst to an uptick in your production levels, and it might be something they can rally around. But either way, it should be cool and great for the community of LeBrokery too. How neat is it for their fans?
Yeah, it's going to be great. I know that there's some special stuff in the works. May even have a Habs inspired jersey at some point that people can get once in a lifetime. We hope. Palsy, I'm really interested to get your take on this point. I obviously have seen Steinbach more than any other club, so I can say that watching the way that they play and the way that they adjust to the style of their opponent, I find is very unique. Like if Winkler wants to play physical, they'll play that way. If Niverville wants to skate and work the pucks down low, they can adjust to that game as well. Just how important is it if you have championship aspirations that you don't always have to be the tone setter? Sometimes you can react, and to be so versatile as a team, what is that going to do for Steinbach?
I think versatility is key, and they have the tools in place to adapt on the fly. Like we saw just the other night. It was kind of a game of puck control. Both teams were kind of feeling one another out and seeing how the game plan was, and then bang, the moment the Niverville Nighthawks make a mistake, they're there to capitalize on it, and they did that twice in the first period. Once in the last 2 or 3 minutes, and once with 2 seconds left on the clock, and that's just how they play. They can play capitalistic hockey, and then, like you said, they can go into the corner and get it. They can play a possession game too, and they recover so well in their own end that it translates into a good rush up the ice. And watching the right winger with his head up and knowing that he's got a guy streaking down the left wing and heading towards net, we saw that connect as well. So they have multiple weapons. They have a lot of good personnel, and they're really good at executing. And Paul Dick is so good at organizing things that I think they have a lot of great things going for them.
Yeah, but like any team, if you are not mentally engaged, you can be exposed. And we maybe saw a little flash of that against the Niverville Nighthawks. You go up 6-2 after two, you take your foot off the gas, and all of a sudden they start coming back, and then you're kind of fighting uphill a little bit. Staying mentally engaged at times may be the test of this team, and it may test their maturity, especially early, as we talked about throughout these previews, with the points being so important in September and October.
It's that resilience all throughout the game. We could make a point for the Niverville Nighthawks coming out in the third and digging deep and finding ways to score. The Pistons may have taken their foot off the gas too a little bit, but they've got that kind of that sense of confidence when they step onto the ice. You can kind of feel it. It emanates from the bench, the way Paul Dick carries himself, the way he has his players. They're so well disciplined too, and I think it's a great experience in that preseason scenario. Like, okay, guys, we're up 4 goals heading to the finish line here. Let's lock those down in order to, when we play against them, either at home or on the road, the chances of a win are slim to none. And that's the mentality we want to sink in to our opposition.
Yeah, we saw that a lot last year. If Steinbach was up by even a goal heading into the third, it was a very methodical third period where they just did what they had to do
Mhm.
to win the game. See if they can continue that.